Hey, this is Keith with How to Build Your Own Home. Thanks, everybody. I'm here at Vid Summit. Got a really good friend of mine, actually a kindred spirit. We have very much the same kind of heart in the way we drive. We would like to help people out. This is the economic ninja.
How you doing, guys?
Hope you're doing well.
Yes. Hope you're doing well.
So we're going to talk a little bit about economics, but he has a construction background like I do. And so he actually had a construction company that he ended about a year ago.
Yeah.
So he really understands the challenges of building a home, remodeling, refurbishing, flipping, that whole 9 yards. We can talk a lot about stuff. Let's talk about some stuff on the horizon. You said something to me that you think interest rates are going to go as high as something by June of next year.
Yeah, we'll see mortgages at 10%, probably over 10% by June. I talked about mortgage rates hitting 8%. Last January, I said it'll happen within this year. It looks like we're about to crest that any second now. And yeah, we're going to see some really exciting things because we're going to see well into the double digits in mortgage rates.
Wow. And do you think it would be going down anytime after that, or just will cap like at 10 or 11?
No, so we have something that's out of control. So we have out of control inflation. We have a bond market that's imploding, and bonds are running well ahead. The bond rates are going up ahead of the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve actually wants this collapse because they want banks to consolidate, because the Federal Reserve is a private bank. It is not federal and it has no reserves, which means they get more powerful when the six owners of the Fed get larger. How do you get larger? You take over small banks, swallow them up for pennies on the dollar.
Right.
That is what started this last year. And we're going to see something what's already larger in scale with dollar amounts than 2008 combined. This is towards like the Great Depression kind of stuff. It's exciting.
Right. So it's really kind of, if you're looking to build and you want to grab that interest rate, now is a better time than 6 months from now.
Dude, if you need money right now to build, I'm bummed for you. But what you want to be excited about is the crash.
Yeah.
And that's what's exciting. That's more money, more millionaires are made during a crash than a good time. And
Right.
if people are going for the vanity build or something like that, well, I don't know what to tell you. But if you're sitting on the sidelines and waiting with cash, holy cow, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I've been on both sides of the equation where I built a home for myself and I've built restoration projects. And I took a Brambler, remodeled it, and I have renters in there, but I have no debt on that.
Yeah.
I almost had the house paid off. My house paid off. We went and took an equity line on it for 2%, 2.5%. And we went and bought two pieces and restored them, and I lifted my neighborhood at the same time.
Oh, nice.
Now those homes are never going to become eyesores in the community. They were for such a long time. That's the opportunity as well you have in front of us down the road.
Yep. Well, although certain types of loans that you pull, right now, variable interest loans are starting to explode in value because people have no money and they're begging for 1% or 1 point lower than what a 30-year fixed is.
Right.
If it was me, I would be looking into a 40-year fixed, yes, because they now exist. Fannie and Freddie backed 40-year loans. But that's what's scary. They're like, but they tell me, Ninja, those are more expensive. Exactly. It's akin to what happened when we had 15 and 20-year mortgages, and then we moved to a 30-year product. Back then, it was a lot to swallow, too. You were paying more interest for a 30-year product. However, when you look at the end goal is the monthly payment. If you need to get into a monthly payment, I would rather go with a 40-year fixed, pay higher interest, less monthly payment right now, rather than being in like a 3-7-1 ARM, something like that, because I don't think those are going to do really well here in the future.
So would you stick with construction of perm loan right now if you were going to get a loan?
Well, it depends. I don't know what the bridge loans are doing right now, because
Really?
a lot of lenders are bailing from bridge loans. And the reason why is because they don't want the actual bridge portion. They're afraid of what that house is going to be valued at in the next 6 months to 12 months.
It's too short term of them right now. If it's longer term, they might see it come back up a little bit.
Well,
but
it's scary.
Not immediate. 6 months is scary right now.
Yeah, and what's really scary is, I can tell you this, and I believe this with my whole heart, we're going to see negative interest rates, but not before a massive squeeze in the housing market. And that interest rate, that negative rate, is not going to happen after a massive crash in the stock market. We're talking 25% plus, and then a multi-year. And this is what's scary, is this crazy. This happens every time. See, by the time the Fed starts lowering, the official recession is announced within 1 quarter. This time it is different. There's never a time in the last century where I would have said this time's different. It actually is, because we have worldwide inflation, And the world's economies are splitting in two because the BRICS, run by Brazil, China, India, Russia, blah blah blah. They're wanting to destroy the dollar, and they're doing a great job of it. And one of the ways to destroy the dollar is get people to stop buying dollars. And so countries around the world are starting to trade bilaterally without the use of the U.S. dollar, which means there are fewer and fewer countries going to the government and buying bonds. So as the government and companies need to buy or make more money by raising money, they offer bonds at a higher rate. So every day you are seeing, pretty amazingly, the 10-year bond tick higher, 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 because what that means is there's fewer buyers of those bonds. You see, when people freak out, they buy bonds, the bond rates drop. It's not happening, and that's scary. And Powell is making sure, he knows this, he's very keen on this, he's making sure that we aren't dropping rates anytime soon. And as a matter of fact, we're going to extend even higher than the street wants. And Powell's actually been really good about squashing rumors. And I'll give you an example. Back in April, when they said, hey, we're raising rates, and then the Fed came, or the Wall Street cheered, like within 1 hour, all over CNBC, they're saying, they're going to lower rates soon. They're going to lower rates soon. And if Powell called an emergency press briefing 1 hour after his meeting, and he gets on, he goes, is this mic on? I want to make sure you all know we are not done raising. We're not done. You're going to experience pain. And so he's doing a really good job of squashing rumors, and it's still not pushing Wall Street down. That's scary, which means bad news is good news, and good news is bad news. So good news, we're crashing.
Yeah, it's something to watch out for. It's hard when I have a lot of clients and owner builders that are moving out to rural areas. They have no choice. They're moving because of other factors, social, economic things that are changing.
You want freedom and guns?
Yeah, freedom and guns. We're seeing the biggest migration in American history, and most people never talk about that. It used to be from Boston to the Midwest and the industrial might of the country. And then it went from really all that, the industrial might near Detroit and the whole area, went all the way to the West Coast, gold rush, etc. Then the tech boom. And now we're seeing a riptide, and it's coming all throughout the Intermountain West, from Texas all the way up through Idaho, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico. This whole area is taking a massive boom right now.
Yeah.
And it's like a ricochet because they can't afford anything on the West Coast. The costs there, cost of living, everything, whereas land. But I'm seeing now that start to, when a riptide happens, it starts to settle. There's no more movement.
Yep.
And we're finding there's no more movement in the country. You really can't. It's getting harder and harder to find a place that's affordable. What do you say to that?
Actually, that gets me excited, because if you're having affordability issues, everyone else is. And what's being hidden and what's very scary is the one thing that this time is different. We've never seen a time in our country's history where banks are told don't foreclose on anyone, and landlords, you're not allowed to evict anyone. And so that wave just opened up, and they said, okay, you can evict now, you could foreclose. Right. This last spring. And so now the documentation's begun. Well, since Barney Frank or whatever, Frank Dodd came out, there's a whole new way of foreclosing on people. So that wave has already started, but you're not going to see those foreclosure actions until midpoint next year. And if you're not ready and you don't have a solid credit score, and think about all the people that their credit scores are getting shot to crap right now because they're missing they're going to miss a student loan payment here pretty shortly, but they're already missing car payments and things like that. The president's even going, hey, you know what? You can miss, he's wanting, if you start missing your health care payments, don't worry, it won't hit your credit, or it won't be on there. Well, you don't understand. It's going to end up hitting your credit. There's going to be a secondary list somewhere. You're just asking, and let's say it doesn't. Let's say they get away with it. If people think they've got a loaded financial weapon right there, and if they think they don't have to pay that payment, what is it going to do to the healthcare industry? Well, then that's going to implode. There's going to be less jobs, and so it's a cascading effect.
One thing I've found that a lot of builders do this is they said, I can actually cash flow this. I can pay the whole thing in cash, but then when I'm done, I won't have any dry powder. And so what's your thought on, if you've got a home and you're about ready to build and you could pay cash for it, 300,000, 450, 500, whatever, 700,000. I was just talking with some clients and I said, they needed, I think it was 120,000 to finish the home. And I says, make sure you keep at least 50,000 as dry powder in your own account, because you don't know what you're going to need that for with things the way they are. What would you say to that?
So I think two things. First off, it's like that mentality. I have a 3% mortgage. There's no way I'm going to pay that off, but I've got the money in the bank to pay it off.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a gambler's mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Because does it make sense to cash flow at 3% or have a 3% loan when you're cash flowing, you're getting 5% on your money? Yeah, from a business standpoint, it does, but debt is bondage.
Yeah.
And every time you have a debt out, you have something on your head, and you're thinking about it. And it sounds funny. I've always had enough money to pay off my house. It's always been in the bank. It's always been in investments. I never did it. My wife actually talked me into doing it to be true to my subscribers. I did it. Something changed. Something changed in my mind, my heart. And I'm not joking. I 10x the next month. Now,
really?
Oh yeah, it was incredible. Now, with that being said, everybody's always fearful that they're not going to be ready for the next thing. Think about you going into a bank, and they ask you to show you your assets. You have a home paid off. You are now in the top echelon. You have a good credit score. You're in the top echelon.
Right.
Who cares if you got the money? If you got the money sitting off the side in a debt, you know what they do? They look at you and they go, so you need to have that debt? I mean, you have the money paid off. You'll be able to walk in and take over loans. There's over 600,000 homes right now that are in such distress. When I mean distress, they're like 120 days and over in delinquency, that you could go to a bank and a bank will pay you up to $3,000 to simply take over the mortgage. That's not what I suggest right now, because you're going to get very not good properties for that, and you're going to be in the highs. You're going to be hitting the highs.
It's still got a ways to go.
Oh, we're gonna have some fun. You're gonna see well over 50% correction in the housing market in the next couple of years. That means that there's a lot of distress out there. There's a lot of sub-2 money out there, subject to deals. I would not suggest that too. You want to buy a house when rates are so high, so painful, and you're able to find one that cash flows, meaning you're able to get a 10% cap rate based off of the rents versus the cost of the house. And you want to be in a market where you're at 10, 12%, 13% mortgages. Right. Why? Because as it turns down and house prices keep dropping, you're going to be refinancing, cash out refis, and you'll be buying houses no money down, just like we did. I didn't do it, but I read about it, and that's how I learned about it. From 1981 to 82, I learned how to do that in 2001 and 2002.
Mm-hmm. Would you recommend people that I'm a big advocate? You teach this all the time. Mm-hmm. As Americans, or just free people, we have to possess the land.
Yep.
We have to control the land. And I've seen, I've lived in 3 of the fastest growing communities in America, 3 of the fastest. You know, Thousand Oaks, California, way back in the day, Sandy, Utah, St. George, Utah, some of the fastest growing cities. And over time, I've seen a lot of growth happen, and then it becomes overpriced, overvalued, then people move to the outskirts and move to the outskirts. Meanwhile, this older part just goes to crap. Yeah. I've used that word twice in my post. I don't know if I can forgive you.
crap.
And so I'm a big advocate for acquiring properties, rehabbing them to their best, and keeping them to their best. And a lot of people don't see that valuation. They see, I need to get my forever home. I need to get my vanity piece. I need to get that big home, rather than let's just have 1 or 2 steps before that.
Yeah, you know, I'm big on only developing a neighborhood as the neighborhood develops.
What if you're the first person to make something happen, and it becomes
you're the trendsetter, you're the pace setter?
Yeah, I've done that twice now.
So there's nothing wrong with that if you have a plan to grab the other ones. Does that make sense?
Okay.
You've got to start thinking really big. I go into a street and I'm like, how many of these can I grab up before I start getting... So this is what happens. You fix a house, right? So I used to do a lot of fix and flips. You build a house, or you fix a house up on a street that they all look identical.
Right.
You flip it. Everybody's house just went up $30,000-$40,000.
Right.
Yeah, I don't like... So I want to have a position while I'm fixing it up. I want to be already talking to all the owners and start wrapping these up in escrow. Because the second I go to sell it, I'm in trouble.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I want to think big. Not a lot of people probably think like that.
Oh, I wish I would have thought like that a while back ago.
Yeah, you never get big without thinking big. And I know it sounds crazy, because so you want to make double next year what you did. Well, that's not really dreaming big, because momentum usually gets you there. If you want to go big, you need what's called an impossible dream. You need to 10x your money. You need to go, forcing yourself into an impossible dream, like in real estate like that, I'm going to buy the whole street. That gets you thinking differently. That puts you on the defensive. Oh, if I fix and flip this house, I've just gotten in trouble. Now I got a higher price I got to pay for all these, especially if I'm financing these, because the appraiser is going to come through and go, oh, the one that just sold. And you're like, great. just sold for 30 grand more. And you're like, crap. See, now I just did it.
So what you're saying, to close all this up, is to be aware of the environment, because I took a piece of garbage home. It was cats and dogs living in it, windows broken and everything. And I literally restored it, and I put a hole back in, and across the street, kitty corner, all people were demoing homes and making new homes. And I could have had an opportunity on 2 or 3 of those situations, and I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, you walk in and you show yourself as the able-bodied, not real estate investor, but handyman.
Yeah.
And it's that you pull up in the junkie truck, and you're in the first couple days.
It was a junkie truck back then.
Yeah, and I'm not joking. The day you've got the dumpster is the day you should be talking to your neighbors.
Right.
Because they don't know that you're a successful entrepreneur, because the second they do, their prices go up. And those are the days you want to be wrapping these up. You're like, yeah, I'm looking to pick up a couple more of these. I'm thinking about on their street. That's all I can do. And you get them into that fear, uncertainty. Now, like, crap, I better talk to this guy now, because he's the only crazy guy that'll do my house. And then you're bringing the whole street up, and you're making a ton of money.
It's huge. It's what you do when you build a home, whether restoring a home or building some, you're adding value to a neighborhood. You're bringing everything up.
I need to make a lesson for my course on that. That's a really good idea. All right.
And you have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks. This is here at the Economic Ninja, good friend. Go to his channel. I have it in the description link down below. Again, if you're looking for a first steps on owner building, I got a great course for that.
Yeah.
If you're looking for the full course on really owner building and replacing the general contractor, which is the biggest price savings you have in building a home, which makes you in a great footing, especially in today's market. Check out the courses at howtobuildyourownhome.com. Again, subscribe to his channel. Go ahead and tell them about your course you have for real estate.
Oh, it's not worth it. But you only have a few links out left.
No, go tell them. I want
It's basic. It's a real estate crash course. How to get ready for the real estate crash. You'll see it if you watch. I pump it like crazy.
I'll put the link down below. Check his course
don't do
out.
that.
He's got, I'm going to do it anyway. Check it out. It's really valuable information. He knows his stuff. And I know the California market. I used to live in the California market. So he really knows what he's talking about. Check it out. Thanks
Thank you.
for coming. I appreciate it.
Right on, man. See you later.
Thanks.